Welcome back to Any Given Monday.
On a Friday.
Yeah. On U.S. Open Friday. We are honored to be joined by someone who won 7 times in the PGA Tour, a U.S. Senior Open Players Champion, longtime golf commentator and analyst, one of the game's great personalities, and one of our good friends, the great Peter Jacobsen. Peter, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Ryan, Mark, it's great to be with you. Don't forget I won the U.S. Open as well. I don't know why they don't count it. It was in the movie Tin Cup, which is more real than what they're doing this week at Shinnecock. Come on, let's be real.
Yeah,
that course definitely played harder.
Yeah.
Although I do think today a 3-wood would have spun back off of the last hole. Might have come back off into the water.
Yeah, especially since when Costner found that spot just short of the water on that par 5, the director, Ron Shelton, said to him, Kevin, go find a spot where you can just carry the water to make it look like a reachable par 5 over water. And he did. He found it, and then he hit 20 or 30 shots, and that's what we saw in the movie. And a bunch of tour players that were in the movie were standing behind the camera, and he said, hey, guys, come over here. What would you hit from here? And it was Litsky and Couples and Cook and Pavin and Tommy Armour III. And we all walked over there and looked at the yardage marker, and guys were dropping 4 irons and 3 irons and hitting them on the green. And he got so pissed. He said, let's go have lunch. It's a lunch break, guys.
You and Costner at the clam bake would have been an incredible team. Did that ever come up even in jest?
No, it never did. I played with Jack Lemmon for 20 years.
Right.
And we always got paired with, at first we got paired with Clint Eastwood and Greg Norman, and then that turned into Clint Eastwood and Nick Faldo. And Faldo, as you guys know, Faldo emerged as such a funny guy. His reputation was that of kind of a stick in the mud, but when we play, I've always known him to be a fun guy. And when we played together in the AT&T, we requested that because Jack and Clint were buddies and Faldo and I were buddies, and we had more laughs, needling each other, just joking around. And in fact, the one year I won the tournament at Pebble, won the AT&T, I had played the first 3 rounds with Faldo and Eastwood and Lemon. I mean, it's kind of shocking to think that you could handle that, but somehow I did. I think everybody let me win. I don't know.
There weren't many that probably could have handled that group, but you were the perfect guy for it.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that aspect of it.
And then Huey Lewis became your partner, the legendary musician. You were the lead founding member of Jake Trout and the Flounders. What's it like to play music with Huey Lewis?
Oh my gosh, Huey is one of the coolest people, one of my best friends, and somebody that I loved his music before we met him. We met on a golf course. We became fast friends, and my wife and I have been to so many of their concerts. I believe we had our 20th anniversary and our 30th anniversary at a Huey Lewis concert. And then I hired Huey Lewis and the News to perform at my wife's surprise 40th birthday party. So we have a long history with Huey, and now Huey and I host a tournament at Monterey Peninsula Country Club that, Mark, you're going to come play in this year, and we're so happy that you're going to be there. We want to keep the idea of the Crosby Clam Bake alive. And as you know, the AT&T changed their format to this kind of ridiculous signature thing, and they got rid of the greatest format in professional golf, the AT&T, where pros play with the amateurs or the celebrities, however it may work. So we're actually trying to keep that concept alive. And Mark, you're going to be there, and we're going to have 36 groups playing both golf courses each day at Monterey Peninsula, and we follow it all up with a huge concert. And we have Darius Rucker, Edwin McCain. We're working on Alice Cooper, George Burge for all you country western fans. We've got a couple members from Chicago, Tommy Thayer with Kiss. We've got Willie Nelson's son Lucas. So being a big music nut, I know all these people's music, and believe me, it's a 2-hour concert afterwards that will blow Mark Baldwin's mind.
Peter, was that the end of the AT&T as we know it, as Mark played in it and I caddied for him? Like that, was that the start of trying to get yours going? Is like we're losing something that was obviously special to your career and special on the PGA Tour. So did that come after the changes at the AT&T?
It did. Once the changes were made and they went from 156-man field down to a limited 70 or 60 or 80, whatever it is, and they got rid of the amateurs and they cut half their field, and not only cut half the opportunities for professionals, but for amateurs and celebrities as well. Who doesn't want to go play Pebble and Spyglass and Monterey Peninsula Country Club and just celebrate the game of golf with all corners of the game? The one thing that you guys realize is that golf is at the intersection of all aspects of our society: medical, dental, financial, legal. You're one phone call away from knowing somebody who loves the game of golf. I don't know why they would change that, because you get so much involvement across the entire spectrum of business. But so they did make the change, and Huey and I put this together last year. So we're in year 2 and we're growing, and we raise money for charity. We give it to the Monterey Peninsula Foundation and a foundation called the Golf Diversity Program that we work with HBCUs, kids that want to play on tour, but if they don't, they realize that there's so many opportunities to work in the business of golf. So it's a really cool initiative that we're all in on.
That's fantastic, Peter. The charitable component, especially, and the connection to the community that, we're all worried, I think, is going to be lost in what's coming. We had Tony Paul on the pod last week, a writer for the Detroit News, who first broke the story that the Rocket Mortgage was no longer going to continue its relationship with the PGA Tour. And of course, that's a big part of it, is the impact that the PGA Tour has on the community. That is, I don't even know if it's secondary anymore, but that's front and center here at the golf party.
The PGA Tour started in 1968, 69, and Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer and that generation broke away from the PGA of America and became the PGA Tour. I joined the tour in 1977, so not that long after. The PGA Tour was basically a collection of tournaments played in communities around the country, and those communities supported charities in those communities. So if you went to LA or Tucson or Orlando or Dallas, you knew you were playing for a group in that city that gave thousands, millions of dollars to charity. And that's where the tour started. And that's where I think the success of the tour has always remained. And I think it should remain there. And we're now morphing into a generation, I think, which has the focus on the players, which is the wrong focus. Players come and players go. I can remember when I joined the tour, there was a guy named Arnold Palmer and Jack Nicklaus. And if they didn't play the tournament, everybody thought that the tour was going to fold. Guess what? Tour's going fine. And there was a guy named Tiger Woods who came along and dominated. Well, Tiger doesn't play anymore. So players come and players go, but the organization remains. And that is where you have to keep your focus, not on the players, not on the money. The players do just fine. Right now, I think if the tour with LIV going away, the LIV thing, I think if the tour were to go, I think they'd be smart to make a solid financial decision and reduce purses and reduce title fees by 20%. Nobody on the tour is going to quit and go away. They're going to continue to play for in substantial purses. But to me, that would be a very smart financial decision to make. But sorry, I don't mean to ramble on. But
No.
I really hope that the current generation, which, as you know, guys, are great individuals. The young men playing now, Rory and Justin Thomas and Fleetwood and Shoffley and all these guys, they're great individuals. We just have to remember, before you can chart your path forward, you have to understand where you've been. There's always going to be the here and now, but what did we do back then to get here, and where are we going in the future? And you can't ignore the past or the future.
Peter, I mean, I can guess your thoughts, but this tier 2 to me is not sustainable. Like, you're not allowing the top players to play in what is going to be a tier 2 event. I don't know how, Rocket Mortgage, as Mark said, is a great example of like, who wants to pay $10 million for an event where no stars are coming? Is it sustainable in your opinion, Peter, this tier 1 and tier 2, or I just don't see it?
I don't either. I don't either, Ryan. First of all, tier 1, it's not sustainable financially. You can't request these title sponsors, these major corporations. They're asking them to pay $30 million for 1 week. It's unsustainable. Can't do that. And tier 2 is unsustainable because if you don't have an opportunity for a young player, a young Mark Baldwin, to be able to come out and burst onto the scene, win a tournament, and be able to play at the highest level, there's something wrong with your system. So I think Rory said it during his press conference on Tuesday. A tier 2 is basically a glorified Corn Ferry. Nothing wrong with the Corn Ferry Tour. It's a training ground for young people to move on to the PGA Tour. It's AAA baseball.
Yeah.
It's great for those trying to develop, but we always see people like Tiger, like Jack, like a Jerry Pate, like a Phil Mickelson, that are so good, Gary Hallberg, are so good, so young, that they deserve to be playing with the big boys. And until I hear a concept or a path for that to happen, I don't think either are sustainable.
Yeah.
So-
I mean, Rory said it, to your point, in Tuesday's press conference. He's like, and he's kind of come full circle. I appreciate that Rory says what he wants a lot, even though he knows that there's some pushback. But he said, the PGA Tour worked just fine for a long time. And it seems like, I don't know how, but eventually we hopefully get back there. Not that you don't have to change. And I understand some changes were made because Liv was trying to take players and all of those things. But the PGA Tour, to your point, worked from 1969 until 4 years ago before Liv came in virtually the same format forever.
Yep.
And somehow we thought we needed to change it all. And I think one day we're going to be back there again.
I couldn't agree more. It's funny, when Liv happened, there were a lot of players in my generation that said, this is a blip on the screen. Ignore it. But the PGA Tour, in a game of chicken, they panicked and they brought in the $3 billion or $2 billion worth of investment, which means they sold the PGA Tour. So now we're being run by a strategic sports group. So we really don't have the autonomy that we used to have. So the policy board and our commissioner, we don't really have a say in it, in the direction. But I agree with you. I think they're going to realize the unsustainability of these ridiculous purses. It's an arms race, and the other country that we were working against is Live Golf. They're done. They're going away. So let's have cooler heads prevail. Let's get back to some smart purses. In fact, Cameron Smith said this a couple of weeks ago. He said, these purses are crazy. Let's get back to a little bit more sensible purse level, and let's bring more young players into the game rather than focusing on the top 60 or 70. They're doing just fine as it is.
Yeah.
The Cameron Smith and Rory McIlroy duet, they're harmonizing right now.
They are, and that's
creating-
good to see. They're both very big voices, and they cast long shadows in the game. And you guys remember Arnold Palmer? He cast the longest shadow, and whatever Arnold said pretty much went the way it was. So a guy like Rory and Cameron Smith, they need to step up and say, look, we're not going this direction. We're going to go back to the way it was because, as Rory said, it was pretty good.
Yeah. Do you think, Peter, that you said alluded to SSG and all the money that's there waiting? Do you think that money is creating pressure to try to innovate in some way rather than go back to what worked for so long? I mean, there's all this cash and there's pressure, and it's like, well, we have to do something because otherwise, why are we sitting on this pile of capital?
Yeah, what do we do with it? Yeah, you're right. What I would do is I would work out a deal with SSG to slowly repay them over the next 5 or 10 years and say, look, this was a bad move. We need to go back to what we had before PGA Tour events across the country, 150-man fields, except for maybe a few of the special events. I do know that the organizers at the Arnold Palmer Invitational, they don't want a 50, 60, 70-man field. Arnold believed in a full field and cuts. There's nothing like having the pressure. Mark, you know that. When we played together at the AT&T and you made the cut, you were playing so well, but coming down the stretch, it's in the back of your mind. I need to keep this in play, despite the numbers Ryan was giving you, and he was way off. He was like 10. Yeah. He was giving you meters, and we were playing in yards. The cut is in the back of your mind. So when I go into a tournament, I want to be able to I want pressure. I want pressure. I want it to test myself. I want pressure to make the cut and pressure to try to win. And right now, in fact, my wife made a comment about some of the live players. I don't know if they're really getting that pressure cooker test over there at live because it's a limited field. And how many really good players are pushing each other. And again, I'm not making any claims or any predictions, but boy, being in the middle of that pressure cooker on the PGA Tour, well, that hardens you like steel.
Yeah. I mean, Peter, and you can talk to this. You had a long career. Mark can talk to it too. It's like Cliff Kresge said, is like, no one knows pressure like that. Like, he made a run against Tiger at Bay Hill many years ago. And he's like, that was pressure, of course, but it was fun because I was playing well. He's like, bring your B- or C game and you're 127th on the money list. And you got to, play one under the last 4 to make the cut. That's pressure, right? And that's been the PGA Tour. That's the PGA Tour I know and I cover is like, I want that back. I want the guy to have a putt to keep his card and all of those things. Like that's
when you look right,
true pressure.
Ryan, when you look at the 4 governing organizations in golf, the R&A, the Open, the Augusta National, Masters, PGA of America, PGA Championship, and this week the USGA, they've all got cuts. They all want to play as big a field as possible. They want to have inclusion. They want club pros. They want qualifiers. And I've always just embraced that. I think it's so cool. When I used to cover the U.S. Open for NBC, it was always so much fun to see a young amateur or somebody that was delivering mail, but they were a good player in college and they didn't get their card, but now they're playing in the U.S. Open. That's excitement. That's new talent. Those are great stories. And when you go to these limited fields, it is going the wrong direction. And I think we're seeing that with the dismantling of live golf.
Without
Yeah.
qualifiers, without the possibility of moving up through the pressure cooker of qualifiers, you wouldn't have Roy McIlroy. And your win at the U.S. Open would never have happened.
It would not have defined my career the way it has, beating 2 15 handicappers down the stretch.
Yeah.
David Sims and Roy McIlroy, 2 15 handicappers.
Unbelievable.
Is the easiest win I think any pro golfer's ever had.
No, but you talk about, and maybe this is a through line. You don't want to read too much into it, based on one tournament. But if you look at the results, I mean, Waco Neiman made an 11 today and still made the cut. But you had the two best players on Live miss the cut. This is Bryson's third missed cut in a major this year. How do you look at that, Peter? And is in your perfect world, in your perfect future of the PGA Tour, who would you adopt back into the tour? Who would you give the opportunity to come back? How would you bring them back in the fold?
That's a good question. I think the hardliners would say nobody should come back. I think there is a path back. I think a lot of people can put it this way. They made a financial decision. If somebody was offering you 100 million, 200 million, 50 million, whatever that may be, they made a sound financial decision to ensure their future and their family's future. I would never criticize anybody for that. But now that that's going away, I think because they're great players, some of these players are some of the greatest players we've seen. I think there needs to be a path back, but there has to be a path back probably at the back of the line. There should be a suspension. There should be some time spent, and there should be a significant fine paid. I know Brooks is he's forfeiting money that he could win, but that's like saying I'm going to win the lottery. I'm going to get the lottery tonight. I'm going to win 50 million. That's pie in the sky. I think what any of these players should need to do is, I think they should pay a fine, and the PGA Tour should pick a charity or pick a selection of charities across the board that are represented by the PGA Tour, and that money should be equally split to them, because quite honestly, Liv's creation did hurt the PGA Tour. And I know Greg Norman and Phil take credit for raising the purses on tour, which it did, and they should take credit. But in my mind, it was in a bit of a destructive way, tearing something down to raise something else up, rather than just working to improve what we had. So I think there is a path back, but I think people need to sit in a room and figure out what that path is.
Yeah.
Peter, do any players reach out to you or other veterans about anything like this? What the future holds?
Just you guys to be on the podcast. That's it. I don't. I was so honored and fortunate to be on the policy board a couple times and on the Champions Tour board, because I like that. I enjoy getting involved like that. But no, nobody's reached out to me. But I think a lot of guys my generation feel the same way. The PGA Tour wasn't broken, so why in the world do we work so hard to fix it? I agree with you. I think in probably 3 to 4, maybe sooner, maybe 5 years, I think we're going to be back to the way we were. And I'm really hoping the AT&T is back to the way it was when we played in 22, 23, because that was such a special event.
It really was.
Well, the golf party it'll be a track one in my mind, no matter what happens. Track
You're
one
right. It is.
schedule. Peter, switching gears a little bit, you're a wealth of knowledge in every facet of the game, but certainly in national championship knowledge. You played Shinnecock the year Raymond Floyd won. You made the cut. Same for the year Pavin won. You won the Senior Open in 2004, the year Goosen won. So you didn't play that year. But I'm assuming you called the action when Koepka won in 2018. What memories or stories really stick out in your mind from from that time, that place, and the U.S. Open more broadly?
What's interesting about doing TV is I wish I'd done TV before I played in it, because sitting up in the tower, what's interesting is it was when you do TV, you focus on everybody else but yourself. When you play, you don't focus on anybody but yourself. So when I was watching 04 and 18, watching those guys win, there's just some things you learn about the nuance of the golf course that I really didn't pay much attention to when I was playing. I was always a pretty good driver, pretty accurate driver. I could put the ball in those fairways, and always a pretty good iron player, yardage wise. I could always hit the ball about hole high. And as we've seen, every one of those greens can break your heart. We remember what we saw Mickelson do in 18 when he hit a putt a little too long and he stopped it. I never would have thought of doing that because I don't know. Maybe I'm not smart like Phil Mickelson, but I never would have done that. But it's the golf courses, and I've been able to go back and play the golf course with friends and members in the last 4 or 5 years. I just have such an appreciation for the linksy style of Shinnecock Hills and how every hole is unique unto itself. The 11th hole, I was talking to Chris Goddard before the tournament, and he said, "What's the best hole out there?" And I said, "The drivable par 5 11th." And he went, no, par 5. Oh, I get it. And I said, it's such a difficult hole when the greens are firm and the wind is blowing, because if you don't hit the green, you're staring 5 right in the face, as you guys know. But there's just such a unique feel to every hole at Shinnecock Hills. And to me, it stands as one of the best. I would put Wingfoot, Pebble Beach, and Riviera in the same breath as Shinnecock, as just incredible major championship golf courses that keep you off balance on every shot.
Poor Peter's holding up his phone. He's switching hands. We've taken time away from his wife, his
Just one.
sister-in-law. Yeah.
There they are. There they are. You know what? The saddest part is they're listening to us talk. They are bored to tears.
They can chime in with hot takes.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Who's their pick for the? All right. What's your schedule for announcing, and then we'll let you out of here with.
Well, we won't let him out of there just yet, because we would love to get his take on the U.S. Open so far.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you my schedule real quick.
Okay.
My next event that I'll be doing TV is the U.S. Senior Open at Scioto Country Club.
Okay.
Then I'll be flying from there to Lake Tahoe for one of the coolest events on NBC. It's called the American Century, where we get to see athletes, actors, and movie stars try to win golf tournaments. And I get out on the range and I become the smartest man in golf, watching Charles Barkley and Michael Pena and Tony Romo as I walk up and down the range, and they go, hey, let me ask you, how's this grip look? How's this backswing look? And it's just fun as a golf lover. It's fun to see these famous people have such a love affair with the game of golf. And Steve Sands and Jimmy Roberts and and Smiley's there. We just have so much fun analyzing their golf swings and trying to explain why that shot missed the fairway by 3 fairways over.
Don't stop when you see Steve Young on the range, because you'll never get to the next player and you'll never get back to the booth.
Oh, did we work on Steve Young? How often when we played together, Steve Young, man, and Ben Rector, who's such a good guy. Ben Rector will be at the golf party too, by the way.
That's
he played last year and he'll be there this year. And if you don't know Ben Rector's music, check him out. And he's also about a 4 or 5 handicap. He hits it almost as far as you, Mark.
Long ball Rector. He's in my phone as long ball.
Ball Rector. But Steve Young, bless his heart, left-hander, quarterback, Super Bowl MVP. Man, he struggles with his golf, but he loves it.
I just told the story at dinner today of him hitting a double hit with a full swing that I have never in my life seen and will never be able to do again.
See,
The
the one thing we can learn as good players is you can always learn from an amateur.
man,
And I've never seen that either.
I don't know how someone hits it on the impact and over his shoulder and the ball went backwards. If there's video of it, I would die. This is the most amazing golf shot I've ever seen.
That was
one thing. Lemon would hit his first tee shot off of number 1 at Pebble Beach. Probably the only guy in golf that could get away with this. They'd introduce him as Academy Award winning actor from Beverly Hills, Jack Lemmon. He'd hit a big slice over the Pebble Beach Lodge. And he, as it flew out of sight, he'd say, well, there goes a piece of shit. The only guy get away with that.
What a character. Peter, what's your take on the first couple of days of the U.S. Open, and what are you watching for on the weekend?
Well, first of all, Wyndham Clark, who I'm proud to say he played golf at the University of Oregon, like I played at Oregon. He's a much better player than I ever thought to be. Wyndham is an incredible athlete. All you have to do is watch him swing. He's so fit and so strong. He struggled with his putting over the years, and that's been the one thing that maybe has kept him from winning more majors. But as you know, we won the U.S. Open at LA Country Club, and he's in great. I think he's ahead by 3 or 4 right now.
4, yeah.
I want what I pray for him and hope for him over the weekend is a really good start on the first couple of holes. One thing I learned playing major championships from some of the great players in the game, when you're nervous and you have a lead or you're near the lead, just put it on the middle of the green, make a few pars, it settles yourself down. Nothing worse than making a bogey or 2 bogeys early, and then you kind of feel a little bit panicked. So golf course is playing great. I think Mike Wan and the entire USGA staff, they're guarding against big wins. The golf course maybe doesn't have the teeth that we normally see from Shinnecock. The greens are only running about 10 or 10 and a half. But look to see them stiffen the greens up a little bit, tougher hole locations, and probably faster, lower cut greens and more speed on the weekend.
Yeah, it was a bit of a cautious setup those first couple of days. Last year, from 2018, I looked at the results, and only 1 player was under par through 2 rounds. And this year we have 11, but obviously, you'd rather not quite get it right than get it totally wrong.
Correct.
The first couple of days. And I mean, they were cautious, but you got to assume it's going to get fiery this weekend.
What is Wyndham right now? Is he 7?
7.
Yeah. 3 wins it, right, Peter?
Well, I was just going to say, Ryan, that 5 to 6 would look really good.
Yeah.
Because I know it's an unwritten rule of the USGA. They want to make par mean something. So I think Wyndham's in a really good spot right now.
Yeah.
All right, Peter, one last question for you here. You played golf with all the best. You played music with many of the best. Who gives you the feeling when you're on stage at the golf party or anywhere else in your past, but who's giving you that feeling when you're on stage playing music like you had when you joined Arnold Palmer that first time at Pebble Beach?
Well, I'm going to have to say Huey, because I go way back with Huey, and I'm a huge fan of Huey Lewis and the News. But most recently, Darius Rucker, because Darius loves golf more than anybody I've ever met. And at the golf party last year, I asked him to play 2 songs, and he played 8. I would say also when Tommy Thayer, who's the lead guitarist for Kiss, when he got on stage and put on that electric guitar and joined in with everybody that came up, from Darius to Mark Bryan with Hootie and the Blowfish, and Jason Scheff with Chicago, and Dustin Lynch, hearing Tommy Thayer play golf, knowing that he's standing to Gene Simmons' left during a Kiss concert, that's pretty cool. And you will see that this year, Mark, because all those guys I mentioned are back.
Well, I'm happy to be a roadie or, lay out the carpet or do a sound check as well.
If you want to sing, Mark, I hear you've got a pretty good voice.
I can do a little pickup. I've got my guitar back here just in case the pot starts getting slow,
Yeah.
Well, you know what? When everybody is near the end of the night and we've worn Ben Rector and Darius out, it may be you, me,
Mark Baldwin. Yeah.
and Ryan French. We'll get up there and we'll clear the room.
I'm shutting it down.
Yeah, that will clear the room. That will clear the room. Peter, thank you. I tell stories from the AT&T as the pictures hang through my office. We appreciate all you've done for us and the memories that you've created.
Well, what you guys are doing for golf, I so much appreciate because you keep the game alive for everybody, not just the elites in the game, not just the top players, but let's not forget that people love golf across the board, no matter what level you play, no matter what your handicap is. And that's why the game of golf is so special. As I said earlier, it's at the intersection of everything we do. And that's what you guys don't lose focus on. And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank
you, Peter. I'm very fortunate to call you a friend. Appreciate your time.
We'll see you in September, if not before.
Hope to see you before. Thanks,
okay.
Peter.
Thanks to you both.
Bye-bye.